Now, how about, Roger, when you went over into the Pacific, you was on a troop ship then?
Yeah. We left San Francisco the 6th of October. We boarded the ship during the night. And when daylight come, we were out at sea. We'd gone under the Golden Gate. There was a destroyer escort with us. Took us out maybe 100 miles, and then the escort turned around and went back. And the ship was able to do 28 knots. That's pretty good for a big ship like that. And he traveled alone, and he zigzagged. We reached New Caledonia about the 20th of October, and they unloaded a battalion of Marine Seabeams, Navy construction battalion, with all their equipment. That left 4,000 men on the Coolidge. Then we took off from there to go to New Hebrides, and they had to maintain radio silence because the gas were lifting in on us, and they had mined the channel where we came in at Espiritu Santo. And the captain was afraid that the Jap submarine was laying wait for him, so he came in at full speed. And when he got in that channel, we hit two mines, about three minutes apart. By that time we were in the harbor, but he featured on the coral reef. We were about as far from here to those cars over there from where the shoreline was. And the mine broke the bunker oil tanks in the ship, and that bunker oil was floating on the water. And the guys that were diving in would hit that oil, and when they'd come up, they were all sticky with the oil. We'd gone up to the our place where we were supposed to evacuate, and they told us to go back to our stateroom. And the ship was already planning to lift. So Captain Flanagan said that we got to wait until we get the order to leave. So the second lieutenant said, "Well, I'm not waiting." He said, "This ship is going under." He said, "You're not going to take responsibility, I will." So when we got off, the water was coming in the porthole, and we had to walk on the walls, jumping over the doors. When we got in the main deck, where the stairway was, somebody had put a rope, and we pulled ourselves up and walked down on the side of the ship into a launch. All the men in the launch. He said, "You're going to have to get out," because he said, "There's too much coral here." He said, we're going to get stuck on it. So I jumped in. When I got out, I had my 45 and 2 canteens on my belt. And I jumped in the water, and I disappeared underwater. And I had 2 kinds of Camel cigarettes inside my shirt. I thought the cellophane would protect them, but it didn't. Ruined all the cigarettes. When we got ashore, when the ship laid over on the side, we were afraid there'd be an explosion because the boilers are still working, and the screws are still turning on the ship to hold it on the reef. Father Mahoney, the chaplain, came leading 2 guys that had been blinded by that bunker oil, and he had some all over his face too. And then the ship settled down, tail first, the rear part of the ship. And when the bow came up, there was a big pile of coral stuck on the bow of it. And it went down, straight down. And they claimed there was 200 feet of water. 200 feet of water over the ship after it was laid on the bottom. It was deep water right close to the shore. To this day, they said the oil is still coming out of it, and it's polluting the shore of that harbor.
Did you lose many men after
Captain Ewart was leading 3 men out of the sick room when the water caught up to him. They were jumping on the walls of the stateroom too, because the ship was laying on the side, and the water came in and grabbed them. And he lost his life. They named the channel after him, Captain Ewart. He was from Rhode Island. I can remember that ship taking an hour and 20 minutes. If that would have happened out at sea during the night, it would have been a terrible loss of life, because it would have been bad. It would have been a lot of hurt people in St. John Street and all over Vermont and Rhode Island and Maine.
This video is a memorial tribute to the finest World War II veterans I have ever personally known, Roger Leonard Bissett and George Gilbert Cormier. Both men put their lives in harm's way to fight for the freedom of our country. Both were first-generation immigrants from Canada. The SS President Coolidge incident was an eye-opener for the U.S. military. It was common practice for the military to staff their infantry divisions with personnel, all from one town or village. The Coolidge was largely made up of men from towns and villages in the states of Vermont, Rhode Island, and Maine. The loss of the Coolidge at sea would have devastated New England. I thank God for the courage and strength of our fathers and all the people who made up the greatest generation. Roger and Gil are just a couple of unsung heroes who made our lives so comfortable today. Thank you, my father and father-in-law.